1988 Cup final, the Aristocrats against the Artisans is what it's being dubbed. Jimmy Hill, where do you place that current Liverpool team? They're saying the best ever of that performance against Forest.
Well, apart from the fact that they haven't had the opportunity of competing in Europe, so you can't measure their success there, for me, it's the most exciting English League team that I've seen. I think Tom Finney felt that, and I felt that on that evening as well. Two things they did that were different for me. One, like the old medieval cities, when the armies used to camp outside. You know, Liverpool used to be like that. Patient, starve them out, and wait your moment for winning a game. Against Nottingham Forest in the game that we've just seen, they stormed the battlements right from the start.
You're getting terribly lyrical these days, Jack.
I mean, that's how it... coming home from that match and seeing that match...
That's how you felt about it.
That's how I felt about it. And the other thing is, we all saw that film, I think, The Third Man. It was on television again recently. They have this technique of the third man running, who can't be picked up by opposing defenders really well. In other words, if I give the ball to you and ask for it back, you know, I can be spotted. Yeah, that's obvious. But if I give it to you and meantime two players are running within your vision and you pick up one of those, that is something that even 8-, 9-man defences can't contend with. Linked with the natural ability they have in their players to dribble and to pass. That's why I think they are the greatest team ever, because they play against 10-man, 11-man defences.
Greatest team ever, greatest English team ever, eh? You mean?
Well, I see no reason why to put us behind the rest of the world when it comes to club football. We certainly aren't in Europe. I mean, when we competed in Europe, we were the best, our club sides. So our extra teamwork, call it what you like, will to win, organisation, I think makes our club side superior to other club sides in the rest of the world, not necessarily our national side, because they don't have that much time together to coordinate in the way that club sides do.
But what do you feel about Wimbledon this afternoon? What can they do? How are they going to play it? Usual way.
Well, it's absolutely stupid for them to try and emulate Liverpool does and to play a passing game. That is not their style. If they do so, and if Liverpool get the mood, then it will be, no doubt about it, it will finish 4-5-0, possibly more. They could have beaten Nottingham Forest by 10 that evening. And evidently last week against Sheffield Wednesday, Liverpool, they won 5-1. They could again have won about 8 or 9. If they have that mood, then we could be in for the biggest score that this stadium has seen. But it's a case of getting it right on the day, and just whether those key players for Wimbledon, I'm talking about people like Beasant, like Fashanu, like Lawrie Sanchez in midfield, and like little Dennis Wise, who is the supplier of 75% really of all goals they score. Any set pieces, then Wimbledon have a chance. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. Fashanu is expected to play a reasonably prominent role for Wimbledon today, and it might be that he'll have a better chance than he otherwise would have had if Gillespie isn't quite up to it. But you cast doubts on that.
I don't think the cuts have any bearing on it, whatever does. They are professional footballers. They've been well stitched up by the best doctors possible.
By the press.
They will not. It'll have to be a freak accident for those eyes to split again. It really will. You know, all right, they'll be covered by their head bandage or whatever, but there's no great risk being played there. Players have played for years with stitches in legs, arms, heads and whatever. It's not as big a deal as it's being made out.
And in praising Liverpool as a team, we tend to think of Beardsleys and Barnes and people like that in Aldridge. We do forget the great stability that they've built on at the back, with Hansen and Gillespie, really, Nicol. The only sort of learner in the team they've got, Ablett, and Grobbelaar is best season ever behind that. They have built on great strength in defence, and I think Fashanu will upset a lot of defenders, and as Bob said, if the cuts don't worry them, Gillespie and Hansen can cope with any kind of aerial warfare.
It is extraordinary building, though, by Liverpool, isn't it? When you look at the team, the 11 playing today, I think, what, 2 or 3 of them played 2 years ago in the double team?
Yeah.
Well, they've done it really by Ian Rush, does. You know, they got that huge transfer fee for Rush, and they have just gone out and they've looked at the market and they've come away with the best players that are available at any one time. You know, they brought in Aldridge was the natural replacement. He's got 29 goals. Barnes has been superb. Houghton has been superb. And Beardsley, of course, I think, all right, John Barnes has obviously caught the eye and deserves to be the Footballer of the Year and the Players' Player. But Beardsley has become one of the most exciting players in the world.
Huge throngs of people outside the ground still, incidentally. It's, what, 20 minutes away from kick-off now? So there's a few to get in yet.
Very interesting in that Nottingham Forest game. that Beardsley, who normally, sometimes you can't find him in the game, he flashes in and does something very brilliant which affects the game. In that game, for the first 45 minutes, he never stopped running. Now, that followed having been left out of the team the previous Saturday. One of Liverpool's strengths, if you've got a strong enough squad to leave out Beardsley, then you're laughing, and they seem to be laughing most of the time.
Houghton was an interesting signing for them, wasn't he, really? Because they had Craig Johnston, who was having a good season in the 11, and then they bought him.
Well, a free transfer from West Ham, which is encouraging for all those players who might get a free transfer this season. You know, disappointing at the time, but especially the young ones, it isn't the end of the day. There is a chance to come back with another club and do what Houghton did, via Fulham, Oxford United, and really as impressive midfield player as you'll find. A lovely pass to the ball and completely at home in that Liverpool team.
Plus the fact is that with Houghton, the great secret to Liverpool is that they have got competition really in every place, and you're looking over the shoulder constantly. Perhaps not with Bruce Grobbelaar, he's not probably got quite that competition, but generally you look through the side, that is what keeps them on their toes. There is not one player in there. When the manager is capable of playing in, I would have thought, most of the first division sides currently still, and doesn't even get a game.
Craig Johnston, incidentally, who's decided to quit football, we read, I don't know quite how right that is, and go back to Australia. He's actually a sub today, isn't he? So he's...
Well, I don't think, in a strange kind of way, Liverpool will miss him that much. He never was...
If he goes. I mean, they're talking about keeping him for another...
Well, they want to keep him because they can afford to keep players of that calibre. But he's never been quite a Liverpool player in a strange kind of way. You know, in his past, he's thrown the ball away too often for the likes of Liverpool managers.
Still played in a double-winning team.
Agreed. He has come in by his enthusiasm, his athleticism, really, and his determination, really, to get in the penalty area. He's made things happen, but he's not necessarily as refined a player as Liverpool like to have.
Well, we mustn't concentrate totally on Liverpool. Let's have a word about Wimbledon and perhaps pick out one or two players today that will be crucial to their performance. I mean, when you look at one or two of the defenders, I mean, Clive Goodyear's come out of the 3rd division. So's Eric Young in the centre of the defence.
Let go by your team, Des. Yes. £60,000 by Brighton, and they've got promotion without it.
Well, that's really what makes this game, Des. When you see everybody sort of writing Wimbledon's style off and everything, all right, there are rules to be played to, and I believe that Brian Hill, the referee, will have a big part to play this afternoon. The game could go wrong. It could get physical. Vinnie Jones is quite mild-mannered, honestly, until there's this little flashpoint, and then, I mean, he just has no control. There are people like that. Now, that does worry me, that they might go beyond the rules, and Brian Hill might obviously have a big part to play. But all this business about Wimbledon shouldn't be here and it's bad for football, 85–90% of us aren't born with the skills of John Barnes and Peter Beardsley. They deserve to be there. They've earned the right to be there. It's wonderful for all the clubs up and down the country and in non-league football.
I agree.
For the small man.
Doesn't seem to be the sort of support for Wimbledon, the small man, though, as there have been for other small clubs who've come here, because of their style of player.
They have no real league history. That's the trouble. It takes time to build up support, and even if you took a club, I don't know, like, you know, Fulham, if you like, if they had a cup final, there would be 30,000 people who used to support them 25 years ago suddenly would come out of the woodwork. But Wimbledon really haven't got that backlog of support.
Plus the things that have been said about them, Jim, as well. The media have built them up. But we've seen a lot of Wimbledon games. You've been there, Des. I've seen you there. You've come away saying, God, I've been entertained today.
Well, we all have.
And they can play, can't they? I mean, there are times when they do play.
The important thing is, in their favour, is that they are an attacking side. It's not as if they have found a system of putting an extra 2 men back to defend to win their matches. They do believe in playing the game in their opponent's half. Admittedly, they believe in getting it there by 1 ball, which generally is a high ball. But once it's there, and they, as they put it, pick up the pieces, that somebody get to the drop first, from that moment on, they play very direct and exciting football. They go on that field to score a goal in their opponent's net. Now, that's the basis of the game of the football, isn't it? To both sides, if both sides attacked in every game of football we saw to get to the other end of the field as quickly as possible, they'd be less boring.
There's no day like today in sport, is there? No.
Well, we're biased, Des, but I believe that I don't think there is any sporting occasion that is like the FA Cup final. It goes round the world. There is no event like it.
OK, well, Jimmy will be joining John Motson, our match commentator, very shortly for the game. But now the traditional hymns of Cup final day. And today, of course, a royal occasion, as you see, the Princess of Wales about to be introduced to the two teams. As I hand you over now to our match commentator, John Motson.
Thanks very much, Des. Good afternoon. And the reverence of Abide With Me, fortunately sustained there over the raucous chanting earlier. We say good afternoon not just to millions of viewers in this country, but to those abroad. This pageantry being watched by 64 television services across the world, ranging from people down there in New Zealand to John Barnes' home in Jamaica. Estimated worldwide audience of 400 million. And the Prince of Wales standard denoting the presence here today of the Prince. Meantime, the teams who will be meeting her in a few minutes are waiting. The two character goalkeepers there, Bruce Grobbelaar and Dave Beasant, sharing an early joke, I think, with referee Brian Hill. This truly an anniversary occasion. Bobby Gould making his way to the front of the line. It's the 125th anniversary of the Football Association. And Adrian Titcombe is the official leading them out this year. I'll explain why that change has happened in a few minutes, but Kenny Dalglish leading out Liverpool. 2 years ago he was player manager on the day. This afternoon he won't be taking part on the pitch. Alan Hansen behind him. And look for the headband. Gary Gillespie, and look at that one, Nigel Spackman. Don't think we've seen that at Wembley before. Two players in the same side. Peter Beardsley bringing up the line there. A wonderful reception in blazing sunshine. Most of the crowd in shirt sleeves. And down there on the pitch, the temperature is estimated at 80 degrees. Those two managers, maybe jointly the youngest two we've seen lead teams out on Cup final day. Bobby Gould is 41, Kenny Dalglish 37, looking for their families. There's Her Royal Highness. On her left as we look, Lionel Smart, the chairman of the FA's Challenge Cup Committee. Well, there wasn't a helicopter in 1938, but I ought to point out we are celebrating 50 years since the FA Cup final was first televised live by the BBC. And there was a Liverpool connection that day too, because Phil Shankly played for Preston. As for Wimbledon, they may have seemed to rise to fame only recently, but they were also here on the FA's centenary year, 1963, when they won that Amateur Cup final. Also with Her Royal Highness on her left, the right as we look, is Bert Millerchip, the FA chairman. But you'll notice no Ted Croker, the FA secretary, is in hospital watching this broadcast, had an operation, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Her Royal Highness will be taken first across to the Liverpool line, where Alan Hansen will present his players. First one being goalkeeper Steve Nicol, who'll be playing at right back. Gary Ablett, who hasn't played in an FA Cup final before. Craig Johnston, who'll be one of the substitutes. And there are the two wounded players, Gary Gillespie and Nigel Spackman, explaining to Her Royal Highness exactly what happened last Monday, no doubt. I think Nigel's got the more decorative headband, don't you? Certainly lots of speculation as to whether they would play. Little Ray Houghton, Steve McMahon, important, thrustful player in the midfield. John Aldridge, a true Liverpudlian, comes from a very big family on Merseyside. John Barnes, so much attention focused on him. Jan Mølby, named as the second Liverpool substitute, and little Peter Beardsley, who has had some new teeth fitted for the occasion, would you believe? And the manager hoping to achieve the double for the second time in 3 years. Well, Her Royal Highness says farewell to the champions and goes across to meet the unlikely lads from southwest London. Dave Beasant was looking forward to this moment so much, I know from speaking to him during the week. The big goalkeeper, the first keeper, we think, to captain an FA Cup final side. And they're relishing the moment, these Wimbledon players, smiles on their faces. They've been called the crazy gang. They've been compared to a Sunday League team in the way that they jest and jape. But my goodness me, they've earned the right to be here just 11 years after joining the Football League, and only 5 years after leading the 4th Division. John Fashanu in the line there is a former Dr. Bernardo's boy, and Her Royal Highness is the president of the Dr. Bernardo's homes. John has said he may be donating some of his cup final pool money to the organisation, and she may well have had a special word for him there. Just caught sight of the two substitutes, Laurie Cunningham and John Scales. And Bobby Gould, such a popular, well-travelled football personality. How he's earned his day here this afternoon. And the match officials being introduced. I've mentioned Brian Hill already. George Tyson from Sunderland and Nick Pearce from Portsmouth, who's a keen cricketer. They're the linesmen. And David Redshaw from Derby is the reserve official. And the Football Association chairman, Bert Millerchip, and Lionel Smart escorting Her Royal Highness, who's certainly chosen the right sort of dress to wear today, because it's absolutely sweltering down there as she takes her seat in the royal box, which is, by the way, not in the same place as it was last year. They've moved it forward. The panoramic view of football's greatest occasion. Let's check once more on the team, shall we? Liverpool packed with experience, full of medal winners. The news that Gillespie is able to take his place in the back four and Spackman in the midfield. Only Ablett and Beardsley haven't played in a major cup final here before of those 13 players. But as Desmond Lynham said, only 3 survivors from the double-winning team, or the team that played in the final 2 years ago, among the starting lineup: Grobbelaar, Nicol and Hansen. Now, what about Wimbledon? Those of you who are not familiar with them may appreciate the formation. Goodyear chosen above Scales at right back. Eric Young and Andy Thorn, the centre-backs. The youngest player, Terry Phelan, the left-back, just 21. Alan Cork, their longest-serving player, on the right. Vinnie Jones and Lawrie Sanchez, the two players who bring power to midfield. Little Dennis Wise on the left. And then the awesome John Fashanu with the sprightly Terry Gibson, who passed a fitness test only yesterday. Well, the crowd suitably and symmetrically packed. One or two changes in store. They won't be standing in those upper bays this time next year. There are going to be a lot more seats installed at Wembley over the next 12 months. Tickets will be harder to get than ever because they're bringing the capacity down to 88,000 as against today's 98. But what a wonderful scene. The two captains have made their way to the centre circle. Alan Hansen, who's been through it all before. And Dave Beasant, who, as Bob Wilson was saying, can see Wembley from his bedroom window. Well, he must feel it's his kingdom this afternoon, certainly at this point. "11 years ago, when Wimbledon were just coming into the Football League, Alan Hansen was just joining Liverpool, who were at that point chasing a treble. They lost here to Manchester United, but went on to win their first European Cup, and he was in the team from the following season onwards. And it was also in 1977 that this man came down, where he just won the double with Celtic that year and opened a new epoch at Anfield. What a day for Alan Cork. Wimbledon's record goal scorer, a free transfer from Derby in their first season in the Football League. And John Fashanu, who always makes a point of shaking hands with the ref. And he didn't forget today. So Brian Hill about to start the 107th FA Cup final and the 60th here at Wembley, where we've never had a goalless draw. Surely needn't tell you that Liverpool are in red. That's Andy Thorn for Wimbledon. Well, we had the electric start last year when Tottenham scored in the second minute. Ray Houghton for Liverpool. That's a Wimbledon throw. Who won that header against Nicol. Pitch in superb condition. Young Steve Tingley, the groundsman here, has produced and we'll see if the feeling is right that that might suit Liverpool's precise passing game. Barnes was fouled. Bit of a sandwich there between Wise and Goodyear. Wise has started on the right and Cork on the left. That's going to surprise a few people. Young with the tackle. There's Wise. Fashanu. Hansen so elegant. And McMahon. That was overhit. Look at that kick from Dave Beasant, almost onto the edge of the 18-yard line. That's what they call Route 1 down Wimbledon way. Ablett. Oh, Fashanu got to him and got it back as well from Gibson, and Fashanu tries the early shot. You'll notice that Wimbledon's forward players do hustle the opposing defenders when they're in possession, and Ablett got caught out.
that may be the reason why Wise is over on that right-hand side. And Bobby Gould has spotted that if there is a vulnerability in the Liverpool side, it is maybe with that supposed learner, Gary Ablett. He's the one that might crumble, and he showed early on just a touch of nerves there, which gave a half chance.
I think they'll remember when they put Wise on that side that Gary Crosby gave Ablett a few problems in the Nottingham Forest Liverpool matches. And that's the first header by Gary Gillespie, a gingerly taken one, understandably, with that nasty cut. His is a worse cut than Spackman's. It's in a more awkward place. Let's see how much length Beasant gets here. Everybody moves upfield, right into the Liverpool half, most of the Wimbledon players. It was Hansen with Fashanu. And it was Houghton. John Aldridge, and here's Wise. The long ball for Fashanu, and well taken out by Hansen. Now Vinnie Jones has got a very long throw for Wimbledon, and Eric Young has made his way forward from centre half. Two went with him, one of them was Ablett. It's come out to Jones again. Young is still there, that was Spackman's header. And it was also his pass, and a very well judged one as well to Peter Beardsley. Liverpool have got three coming from the other side of the pitch. Barnes has moved inside, still Beardsley. Now it's Barnes. Houghton and Aldridge are waiting in the centre. Oh, well played by Alan Cork. He got to Aldridge just when that mattered and forced him to head over. But for that challenge, Aldridge would have had a clear header. Fashanu, Sanchez, and again. Oh, Nicol only to Cork. He had to stop it because Fashanu was also up on his left. Wise, foul by Hansen. The player who's gone down is McMahon.
He seemed to take it right on the chin there. It was a hasty clearance, didn't matter where the ball went as long as they got it away. But they didn't get it away, they got their own player straight on the chin. He staggered and then fell. But here we can see, first of all, the foul. That was a self-trip in the air, which is an interesting manoeuvre. But we don't see the ball hit his chin.
Now, we've heard a lot about Wimbledon's set plays. Don Howe, a specialist in coaching players what to do from these positions. I see Young is forward again on the far side. Thorn is also there, and that's Wise. This little fella's been voted player of the year, and they say that he's had a hand in just about 3/4 of the goals that Wimbledon have scored this season. Very clever striker of the ball, Dennis Wise. It was Phelan, and it was Nicol. Flicked on by Sanchez, nice touch. Fashanu's looking for Gibson, who's offside. was Grobbelaar also testing the length of his kick on that occasion. Thorn. Cork. But Wimbledon already making it clear that they're not overawed by the occasion. There's going to be 1 or 2 free kicks with John Fashanu around, that's for sure, Jimmy.
Yes, he did attempt to play the ball there and fell all over Peter Beardsley, but we don't mind him jumping vigorously for the ball in the air as long as they keep the elbows to themselves. That's the trademark we don't like.
That's a foul by Andy Thorn coming in the back of John Aldridge. Here's McMahon. Oof, Vinnie Jones caught him there. Now that's precisely the sort of challenge that Wimbledon have been, shall we say, reputed to produce. Their disciplinary record has been the topic of some discussion, and Brian Hill, the referee, will be keen to make it clear that that sort of tackle won't be allowed today. Andy Thorn did well there, wasn't fooled by the dummy. Mature player, despite his 21 years. And here's another 21-year-old, Phelan, with the throw. Fashanu against Nicol. Wise is coming in from the far side, and Wimbledon will force the corner. We've had 10 minutes of the FA Cup final, and I expect to see little Gibson near the goal line, and Thorn and Young will be in there. Wise to take it. And there's going to be another one. Steve Nicol was covering the 6-yard line. Thorn and Young, in fact, are inside the 6-yard box by the far post, and Alan Cork is not far away. Cork was there, and so was Young and Vinnie Jones.
Well, Wimbledon must be satisfied with that 10 minutes. They've had a shot that made Grobbelaar save, a free kick just over the top, 2 corners, and that last shot that you saw there. So they needn't be frightened of Wembley so far. Having come with expectations of maybe being massacred early on by Liverpool, it's a quiet, tactical start, and no real event to surprise anyone.
Here's Gillespie. And now Nicol. Liverpool have only conceded 1 goal in their FA Cup run. That was in the semi-final to Nottingham Forest and Nigel Clough. Well laid off to Houghton by Aldridge. Here's Beardsley. And it's Houghton again. Swift and incisive. Beardsley and Houghton, and there was space. Closing down Wimbledon. Look where Beasant is now. Familiar tactics. And Gillespie got it well to head that clear. Ablett's volley. Here's McMahon. Cork in the way. And Nicol. mentioned Wimbledon's disciplinary record giving cause for concern. It should be said that Liverpool, by contrast, have won the Fair Play Trophy this season. No sendings off and only 10 bookings. At the cup final, normally a well-behaved occasion. Now, Jones' long throw may give Gillespie a problem or two. That was Wise cross. Cork is coming in far side. He's a very good header of the ball in a one-against-one position, Alan Cork. It's his speciality, really, Don Howe was emphasising to me. And that was certainly aimed by Dennis Wise to Alan Cork over on the far side. Such good delivery by Dennis Wise. McMahon to Houghton. Oh, good ball by Ablett. That's Houghton. Good pass from the young left-back. Hansen. Thorn. Jones. Well, it's a nice calm start. Liverpool measuring their passes now. McMahon. And he'd like to measure a shot or two if he could today. It's been one of the features of Liverpool's season, how well he struck the ball at times from distance. Maybe he should have passed. Been playing for a quarter of an hour. Liverpool 0, Wimbledon 0. Brian Hill, the man in charge, has got memories of refereeing Wimbledon in his very first Football League appointment when they joined the league in '77. If you think he's biased, he always wears a pair of red socks under his referee's stockings for superstitious reasons. Just to level it up. Here's Ablett. Barnes. And that was Young. Young got the vote over Brian Gale for the centre-half position. He always wears the headband because of scar tissue. Here's Beardsley. So far, they haven't got... Peter Beardsley and company haven't got John Barnes into the game.
Well, Wimbledon really is succeeding in playing most of the match in Liverpool's half, which is, of course, what they set out to do. It's the safest way to preserve no goals against by playing in the opponent's half. But Liverpool, I don't know whether it is because they are fractionally worried by those head injuries, which shouldn't really affect them that much, but they made rather a tentative start. They're not storming the battlements today, that's a certainty.
Well, the heavy ammunition may be to come. From whom? We shall have to wait and see, because Dave Beasant, for that foul on Steve McMahon, will take a free kick. Nearer the halfway line than his own goal. Fashanu. Bit of leaning, was it, by Gibson? It was a nice effort. But I just wondered whether he was impeding the defender. Yes. Steve Nicol was the Liverpool player there, and well, Young just hesitated there as the ball bounced, and he... Vast number of Liverpool supporters inside the stadium. It looks sort of 70–80% red, but I can assure you that Wimbledon disposed of their 25,000 allocation. Forward by Wise. Steve Nicol back. Now Barnes up against Goodyear. First time he's really had a run at him. And Young heads out for a corner. And in spite of the headband, Gary Gillespie is going to go up for corner kicks, it would seem. Played back to McMahon. Wide again to Barnes. Spackman. Oh, well played first off by Beardsley, but couldn't feed it through to Houghton. Mann to Barnes. Nicol. Aldridge by the penalty spot. This is Beardsley.
Two shots taken early in not exactly desperation, but an anxiety to make something happen, because at the moment Liverpool haven't been able to do that, which must be a little bit disconcerting for such heavy favourites. So far, Wimbledon ahead on points.
There goes Gibson. Just calm it down, says Brian Hill after 20 minutes, awarding the free kick to Liverpool. Don't think the boxing analogy is too bad today, Jimmy, with so many cuts around. Really looks as though Gillespie and Spackman have been in a 10-rounder. Here's Houghton. Aldridge makes his run across the area. Plays it back to Beardsley. Gary Ablett's come up from left back. Spackman. Barnes outside him. Off. Well, Clive Goodyear did well enough there, didn't he? Because Barnes loves to hit the line and cut those crosses back. So much part of the Liverpool repertoire. On by Fashanu. Harrison there was by Wise. Then Fashanu went in and got the free kick. But it happened again because Wimbledon were keen to press on to the Liverpool man in possession, even though he was only just outside his own penalty area, where Liverpool like to stroke it around, sometimes at leisure. Flags up for offside on my side of the field. Sanchez has the shots, but it wouldn't have mattered. Quickly taken free kick. This time, Phelan is penalised for the challenge on Beardsley. Well, certainly not the explosive start we had last year. We had two in the first 10 minutes. McMahon for Liverpool. Barnes. Wimbledon have pulled 10 players back, but Ablett is forward and slices the cross. Bobby Gould sat there as a substitute for West Ham in 1975 and didn't get on against Fulham, one of the big disappointments of his career. And of course, many of the commentary players who he signed were here last year under new management, so a lot of satisfaction for him today. Wise is certainly full of confidence. I've seen him earlier on the team coach with Gerald Sinstad. He referred to the fact that he walked to Wembley for the Cup final in 1982. That was because he was a QPR fan living down in Shepherd's Bush. Barnes. Aldridge with Thorn. Oh, and Goodyear, Beardsley got a touch, but it didn't steer the ball past Beasant. He's so quick to see opportunity. Clive Goodyear may have just sold his goalkeeper a little short, when in fact he definitely did. In the meantime, a rather more assured back pass. Clive Goodyear relieved. Well, if this is a quiet start, Jimmy, the players won't be complaining about conserving a little energy, because it must be stifling down there. Here's Beardsley. This is Houghton. Barnes is waiting, but so... Oh, and Barnes is still there against the post. And away by Vinnie Jones. John Aldridge had the first opportunity from the cutback. As you'll see from this, there were two chances here for Liverpool to score, really. Beardsley, superb approach play, then Houghton. First of all, from the corner kick will now be given on this side of the field. But Wimbledon were just rocking there, and Jones cleared after Barnes' first effort appeared to have hit the post. More of that in a moment. It's a corner. Well, that was the closest we've come so far. Was the first incision Liverpool had made on the left flank of the Wimbledon defence, and it certainly worked. Here's Fashanu. Jones is well forward in the centre this time. Well, Liverpool quite close back there, Jimmy.
Yes, there's a familiar picture of Peter Beardsley conjuring something from nothing, which is his great capacity. Quiet moments in a game, but he's got the confidence to take on players at the time when it matters. Very tenacious there. The referee played a good advantage. I was surprised at the end when they didn't force it home. Wimbledon played offside, which is why they were so badly caught by that run of Houghton's on the right. And the right-hand defender was really playing them on a mile.
And Liverpool came close to what would be, or may well be today, their 100th goal of the season. They're on 99 at the moment in all competitions. Here's Nicol. Spackman. Jones with Houghton. Gould. Well, now we can see what happened at the end of that move, because Ray Houghton, as Jimmy Hill rightly said, beat the offside. I think Young played him on. Watch Aldridge there, blocked by Young, blocked by Beasant. Watch Barnes. No, the goalkeeper takes great credit for actually getting a hand to the second ball. Good save. Cork. Well, Dave Beasant has been praised for his consistency, and he certainly came to Wimbledon's rescue there, the goalkeeper and captain. Nicol. Forward by Beardsley. Sanchez and Jones intercepting in midfield. Dave Beasant hasn't missed a match for 7 seasons, by the way. Tremendous record. 351st consecutive game. Hansen. Now Goodyear. Nicol. Jones. There's some stern competition going on in there. The long ball by Houghton was meant for Beardsley. Up against Young. Aldridge drifting into the penalty area now. Still Beardsley. Drove it into the side netting. Took on Eric Young. Seen from the other side of the ground where we have our Royal Box camera, and there in the Royal Box is Sam Haman, the owner of Wimbledon, next to Her Royal Highness. Well, we have 14 minutes left in the first half as Wise prods the ball in for Wimbledon. Offside flag up against Fashanu. I suppose you'd say by cup final standards a fairly unremarkable half hour, but Wimbledon certainly holding their own up to now. Not that that will worry Liverpool too much, because they are masters if it comes to a game of patience. Cork. Even the crowd have been reasonably restrained. Perhaps sweltering in the heat as much as the players. Here's Steve Nicol. Houghton, Liverpool getting their movement going again. Barnes. Nicol. Forward by Spackman. Phelan. Oh, it went over Gillespie's head. Sanchez following up with Spackman. Fashanu with Gillespie. Sanchez. Cork's waiting in the centre, and he's not well marked, and he got it on to Wise. Wise cross. Gibson let it go. Fashanu. A A dangerous move by Wimbledon, and Wise was involved again here. He found some space to return the ball. Gibson dummied, and Fashanu's shot just passed. Some relief down there. Cork took up a very good position in the penalty area, beginning of that attack. Certainly knows where to go when Wimbledon are approaching the opposing goal. He's got a great instinct. Hansen. Phelan. Foul.
I didn't personally see what was wrong with that. He headed the ball cleanly, didn't see any hands up, but look at this, Beardsley through.
Yes, he was caught. Wrestle's gone. The referee will have to pull it back. He's already given the foul by Andy Thorn. Beardsley distressed because he thought with an advantage played, well, it would have been disappointed too. The whistle went the instant that Thorn held Beardsley back, and I don't think you can blame the referee for that. It was a clear foul, and he wasn't to know in that instant that Beardsley would go on and put the ball in the net. So will John Barnes produce something from this position? He's done so before. Gillespie's up there. Not one of his better efforts. The Liverpool players had a word with the referee, but officials sometimes can't win when they decide to penalise. There was some yards to go when the foul was committed, although he chipped it over Dave Beasant very comfortably and was understandably upset to find play pulled back, Peter Beardsley. That came with 10 minutes left in the first half, and the score is 0-0.
And it came from a Liverpool long ball. A very long one, straight through the defence, very direct.
I think perhaps too much has been made about this contrast in styles, because Wimbledon have passed the ball quite nicely at times. Here's Phelan. And Steve Nicol pulled up. The linesman has flagged, and Wimbledon may well thrive on a free kick in this position. Wise will obviously take it. Sanchez, Cork, Young and Fashanu in there. Sanchez was in there, and that's a goal for Wimbledon. Lawrie Sanchez. Well, what a typical Wimbledon goal. Dennis Wise delivers the free kick. Lawrie Sanchez sneaks in and glances it into the far corner. Just got the touch, Sanchez.
And you can't blame the bandages there, because he was between Nicol and Hansen. It was those who were beaten by that header, not Gillespie or Spackman.
36 minutes gone, and the unfashionables from southwest London have taken the lead against the league champions and the team chasing the double. Now, will Kenny Dalglish's team manoeuvre an immediate reply? John Fashanu has gone down injured. Well, I did mention the number of goals that Wimbledon get from set plays as their young physiotherapist Steve Allen comes on to look at John Fashanu, and you'll see the way that Wise drifted that ball in, and I'm pretty certain Sanchez got the last touch, Jimmy.
they'll reflect on the linesman's decision afterwards that brought about that free kick. If you remember, down in the corner there, it surprised us. It might be worth having a look at that at half-time.
Well, it's a free kick now to Liverpool, so Gillespie is forward. Barnes is in there. And Ablett's come up from left back, and he got the header in. Well, there were many people who felt that the best thing for the final, from a neutral point of view, was a Wimbledon goal to put Liverpool on their mettle, and that's exactly what we've got. Sorts of talk about the betting before this match, and its interesting price offered was that if Wimbledon were leading at half-time and Liverpool won in 90 minutes, you could get 22 to 1. But it may be premature to start talking about that, because let's give Wimbledon credit. They're in the lead and they intend to stay there. There's Cork. But there have been cases quite frequently in cup finals here where the team that scores first have in fact lost the game. I suppose Liverpool too will be reflecting on the disallowed effort by Peter Beardsley a little earlier. Here he is again. McMahon. Barnes. This is Nicol. Aldridge is in there. Play on, says the referee. It was Eric Young who was involved. But none of the Liverpool players appealed, only the crowd. Gibson couldn't turn it in. It was an error by Grobbelaar. One of his characteristic surges off his line to try and take the cross some way out, and he misjudged it. Look at that. Spectacular, but dangerous. The angle not quite good enough for little Terry Gibson. Five minutes left in the first half, and the cup final for the moment goes the way of the underdog. Lawrie Sanchez, who I saw score a similar goal the other Saturday against Chelsea, almost identical in fact, but he'll be rather more pleased with that one. Hansen. Houghton. Now Gary Gillespie. Four others up with him. Good running by Houghton here. Aldridge is square. Oh, and the deflection off the defender fell so kindly for Beasant. Gary Gillespie joined the attack to such good effect. Houghton got the cross in, but as the ball span off Young, I think, Beasant caught it. Fell just right for him. Cork. Well, so far things are going Wimbledon's way. And there aren't too many neutrals who'll begrudge them that. Coventry have sprung a surprise here. Luton have done so. There are some supporters there who hope that things go in threes. Ablett. Spackman. Barnes. Free kick to Liverpool. Lawrie Sanchez complains, but with 2 minutes left in the first half, maybe the reply will come from a similar situation. Barnes takes, Thorn's header out, then Sanchez. Hansen. Good running by Houghton, but had to stay onside. Nicol. Liverpool with plenty of players forward in this attack. One of them was Aldridge there, and Gillespie was trying to get in on the flick from Aldridge. This is McMahon. Hansen. Oh, Alan Hansen gets a return, and well stopped by the legs of Dave Beasant. Not often you see Hansen in a scoring position, but he played a lovely 1-2 here. The Liverpool captain coming from the back, returned to him by Houghton, and Beasant stops it with his right knee. McMahon. Last minute of the first half, and so much going Wimbledon's way. Dalglish intense, because there are 1 or 2 breaks here going against Liverpool. And going very much in favour of the Wimbledon goalkeeper, who at the moment is stopping everything. Stoppage time at the end of the first half. Wimbledon, a 4th division side 5 years ago, lead mighty Liverpool by 1-0. And little Dennis Wise on the ball at the end of the first half, and Lawrie Sanchez, who fed on his cross, walks off satisfied. Because Wimbledon are a goal ahead. And I think you have to say that they've earned it by virtue of the fact that they've defended with a great deal of determination and at times desperation. Liverpool haven't yet reached peak form, but Wimbledon have also attacked with perhaps rather more intelligence than sometimes they've been given credit for. But they go off to quite an ovation from their fans from southwest London, and I just wonder, have they gone some way towards spoiling Liverpool's prospects of a second double? Bobby Gould certainly will be quite satisfied with what's happened in that first 45 minutes. Although the referee is taking a little bit of barracking from the crowd, owing to the fact that he allowed the free kick for Wimbledon and then pulled Liverpool back for one a little earlier when they thought they should have had an advantage. Beardsley and Sanchez going off there, in fact, were the 2 players involved in those 2 key moments, which mean that at half-time, the score in this 107th FA Cup final is Wimbledon 1, Liverpool 0.
Well, if football was entirely predictable, we wouldn't bother to watch it, would we? What do you make of that then, Jim? They had their lucky breaks, didn't they, Wimbledon, in that half? No question about it. And Beasant, it looks as though, as you were saying just now, it's his day.
He said his prayers last night, and they've been answered so far. Mind you, it isn't all luck. Some of it's good technique, as Bob pointed out. But nevertheless, the times when the ball's spun and gone back into his hands, makes it think it's Wimbledon's day. But on the other hand, they fought to make their own luck. You know, they have been hungrier. There have been more of them prepared to challenge and more of them prepared to run. And alongside that, Liverpool look as if they're a touch over the hill at the moment until Kenny Dalglish gets hold of them in the dressing room.
Let's look at the goal. What did you make of the free kick there, Bob?
Well, the actual free kick, it wasn't the referee Brian Hill, it was his assistant on the line here, and he's given it for pulling. He indicated quite clearly there that Steve Nicol had been pulling back on Terry Phelan. And although Nicol's objecting there, it was quite clear to us sitting here that George Tyson, the linesman there, he clearly indicated it was pulling.
Right.
Now, after that, of course, this little fella, Dennis Wise, as we've heard, John Motson's mentioned it, 75% of everything that, all goals that they score. Alan Cork's done a lovely run in front here. Alan Cork's the front man, over the top. No chance. That is a beautifully executed set piece.
And what about the defenders here, though? Because it looked like Ablett and Nicol were on there, rather than perhaps one would have expected Gillespie to be in that position.
Gillespie was waiting at the back. The ball didn't come through to him. He was beaten to it, but it wasn't really because of their injuries, you know, that ball was won. In fact, they're very difficult to cope with, as we know, that if a ball's played in like that to a man standing in that position, the guy who's behind him, if he gets up first, there's nothing he can do to stop the flick.
It's just like a near post corner, does that. It's exactly the same situation. It was almost a corner kick. But they were unlucky in so much they had the ball in the net at the other end a few moments before.
Exactly. Let's take a look at...
Now, I think Brian Hill was I've got sympathy with him here. Most referees really nowadays...
Now, he's blown there, presumably,
yeah.
has he?
Yeah. I mean, there was a free kick, obviously. It wasn't that one, actually. It's coming up a little bit now. No. It's a little
This is the Houghton run.
No, you've got a totally different one on this one. And this is where Dave Beasant makes a miracle save here.
Off his foot,
he
and then
just
his
flicked it. It all looked set up for John Barnes, and then in
Jones
came
cleared
Vinnie
it in the
Jones.
end.
Yes. Yeah. And it was a miraculous save. He's 6'4", Dave Beasant, and that came to his own.
They played offside here, you see, and got caught out. You can see him appealing, but...
Houghton started the whole move off, in actual fact.
Now, here's the foot save, hand save. Barnes in a header pit, the ball's gone behind him, and then cleared in the end.
Great barrier he's provided there.
Right, let's have a look at the chance that we thought that one was. This is a Fashanu. This is
Wise
Fashanu.
cross.
On this one here, I thought John Fashanu was very calm with his finish, Des. There's little Wise again, you see, with the ball put in. Now, that's a very, very good connection. That might have beaten Bruce there, you know, in the corner.
Now, we've eventually got the one that we thought we were seeing first and foremost, which is the one of the disallowed goal, where the referee blew up. And what was your view of that?
Well, just the situation with that sort of thing, Des, is that referees really, nowadays, I think they're waiting to see what the outcome is of a tussle like that. Perhaps Brian was a little bit quick on the whistle on this occasion. I think he's made a few wrong decisions. I'd love to sit with him through today with the game and say, look, what about that, what about that? On this one, it's a very difficult one. There's been a clear foul. He's blown perhaps a little bit prematurely, and of course Peter Beardsley has gone on and finished quite beautifully.
Terribly disappointing for him.
This was the moment. I mean, he was clearly pulled back. He knew that he was beaten there, but tenacious little Beardsley holds on and thinks he's got the opening goal in the final, but it didn't turn out that way. In fact, Mr. Hill played a very good advantage just before that, as if, look, I'm here to play advantage today if the opportunity occurs. But sometimes when you see a foul in front of these people, you see the foul, the whistle's there, and you blow. You think, I've seen it.
You can just see him there. You can almost see just behind Peter there.
I've spotted it. But of course, that's when you should just wait a fraction and see the outcome.
I have to say, you know, I think Wimbledon deserve to go ahead there, Des, but I think that Liverpool, they look dangerous every time they get into sort of situations there with Beardsley or particularly
Houghton in particular.
Houghton, I think, could play a big part. And I think we're up for a tremendous second half.
Well, that goal's made it in a sense, hasn't it? Because if it was the other way round, you'd expect Liverpool to run riot, wouldn't you? But now they've got an uphill problem.
Mr. and Mrs. Barnes, who've come to watch, you know, their son win the cup final, would be disappointed with that half, as you know, as John will. Back to his old problem of getting enough ball in the clear, you know, to use the ability that he's got. You know, which is sometimes what happened at Watford, when he didn't get the ball often enough, really, to take the chance and beat a man. And that's been the case today. They haven't been in the game. They haven't dominated the game. Look what they did to Nottingham Forest in that match before.
Well, we've got some 45 minutes to look forward to. Let me just tell you the score up in Scotland is Celtic 0, Dundee United 0 at half-time. Let's enjoy a little music before we pick up the second half.
Jim Beglin, the injured fullback there in the picture. Ronnie Whelan didn't get into the 13 today, and Barry Venison, the Liverpool squad players coming out. Kevin McDonald. And the team have just got onto the pitch. Worth making the point, perhaps, that since Wimbledon were here in that Amateur Cup final in 1963, Liverpool, would you believe, in that, 25 years, have had their hands on 33 trophies. They've been watched this season by an average home crowd of just under 40,000. And here they are, a goal behind to a team whose average gate down at Plough Lane is under 8,000. Giving Kenny Dalglish plenty to think about at half-time and giving a great boost to Dave Beasant and his team. And we keep saying that the FA Cup is unique for the way it throws up the unexpected. Well, we're only halfway through here, but certainly Alan Cork there has got a testimonial on Monday night. He'll have relished that first half, because I think one or two of the Wimbledon lads were determined first and foremost. There's Lawrie Sanchez, the scorer, not to be overrun, and they certainly haven't been. Far from it. Although the shot count, I have to say, Liverpool had 13 goal attempts to Wimbledon's 7. 4 of Liverpool's were saved and 6 were off target. Wimbledon have had 4 corners to Liverpool's 2, which will have pleased the manager, and I'm quite certain Her Royal Highness has appreciated the fact that we've got a situation here where the little team have stolen an advantage. The two chairmen swap seats, and that's what you've seen there at half-time. Sam Hammam making way for John Smith of Liverpool to sit next to the royal guest for the second half. We've talked a lot about doubles. We've got a double in a royal sense today, because Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Kent, a great supporter of the cup final, is also here, and she sits now next to Sam Hammam, the Lebanese businessman who bought Wimbledon, would you believe, 10 years ago, before he'd even seen them play. Chairman of the Football Association between the two royal guests, Bert Millerchip. Well, Lawrie Sanchez, they call Wimbledon the Dons. Lawrie is something of a Don among Dons. He has a BSc degree from Loughborough College, where he was a fellow student of Seb Coe. So, probably learned a bit about his running from there. His father comes from Ecuador, his mother from Northern Ireland. And today they'll be proud of him because he scored the first goal in the cup final, and he was a 20-to-1 outsider to get it, by the way. Start the second half. They do have a victory over Liverpool already on the card. They beat them at Anfield last season. Foul by Gibson on Gillespie. But so often in football down the years, we've said that Liverpool are at their most dangerous when they're up against it. You can never think about settling on a lead against any Liverpool team. You have to work very hard to sustain it, and Wimbledon will be aware of that, and I'm sure that's been the message in the dressing room at half-time from the management team. In fact, this season, a high percentage of Liverpool's goals have come in the second half. Here's Cork for Wimbledon. Beardsley and Young. Big Eric Young, who was in the Brighton team that knocked Liverpool out of the cup a few years ago. And Beardsley busying himself. Forward by Phelan. Cork. Forward by Sanchez, offside against John Fashanu. I understand that in Scotland, Dundee United, who've often found Hampden Parker hoodoo in Scottish Cup finals, are leading against Celtic. Kevin Gallagher has scored, and Celtic then, the side chasing the double up there, find themselves in the same situation as Liverpool here. Here's Goodyear for Wimbledon. Sanchez, so good at getting the ball back into the danger area. Cork. And Hansen away from Jones. And now Beardsley off on a run to the right, Aldridge through the middle. Back to Hansen. Barnes has moved into the inside right channel, pursued by Goodyear. Oh, well played. It took 2 to stop him. Both the fullbacks had to be alert there to prevent John Barnes from squaring the ball. Phelan it was who conceded the corner. Gillespie is forward again. Aldridge in the near post area. Oof, it was missed by Fashanu. And that's a free kick. McMahon on Wise. Actually, it was John Fashanu trying to defend his own goal there, who missed the corner, but Thorn was solid with the header just behind him. Well, Liverpool need their supporters now. Wise. And Cork pulling away dangerously. Good header by Steve Nicol. Here's Fashanu. And now Phelan. Ablett. McMahon. Barnes. Wimbledon have to do an awful lot of running to prevent Liverpool from imposing their passing game on this second half. It's such a hot day. Wimbledon's game depends very much on covering a lot of ground. Here's Phelan trying to do just that on the left. Houghton got back to challenge him. Well, play on. The ball apparently didn't go out. McMahon. Little tug there between McMahon and Gibson. Referees saw it and told him to cut it out. Barnes. McMahon. Spackman. McMahon again. But Wimbledon harrying every Liverpool player who gets the ball. Look at that. Cork getting back. One of the reasons why many people felt Liverpool wouldn't find it so easy to play their elegant, extravagant game today is because Wimbledon do shut the opposition down so quickly. Here's Ablett, though. Houghton. Ablett again. Nicol's shot.
That's that same desperation. They haven't really carved out an opening, and impatience leads them to shoot from positions where they're really unlikely to score.
Just over 5 minutes gone in the second half. And Wimbledon gain the free kick again. Vinnie Jones. Thorn takes it. Jones heads it back in. Danger. Nicol half away, then McMahon. Wimbledon certainly have exploited their free kicks to the fullest possible extent. They're a bit upset down on the Liverpool bench because Lawrie Sanchez just kicked the ball out to waste a few seconds. Ronnie Moran very animated. And John Aldridge can't be offside from a throw-in, so away he goes. Beardsley. Houghton's up there as well. Still Beardsley. And Goodyear. Aldridge. Nicol. Fashanu. Jones. Sanchez. Wimbledon sticking to their well-rehearsed, rudimentary style, but it would be unfair to call it rugged today. There was one slightly over-enthusiastic tackle early on by Vinnie Jones, but not much for the referee to be unduly concerned about since, in that respect. Here's Spackman. Fashanu, you see there, won the ball. And Jones now. Oh, He's taken on Gillespie, and it's taken 2 covering players to stop him. He's really enjoying his day, Vinnie Jones. Liverpool want to put an end to that enjoyment as soon as possible. Here comes Dave Beasant. You might see this on a Sunday morning. Today you're seeing it at Wembley. Wise. But it's all within the laws of the game, the way Wimbledon play. Barnes. That was an important challenge for Thorn to win. There were appeals by Aldridge for hands. Here's Gillespie. I've noticed both Liverpool substitutes are warming up, Johnston and Mølby. Maybe that Kenny Dalglish will want to change things round here if they don't equalise soon. I wouldn't you see Liverpool make a substitution so early in the second half for tactical reasons, but they may be forced into it. We shall see. Here's McMahon. Nicol. Beardsley outright, up against Phelan. Again, you can go past one Wimbledon defender, but as Beardsley's found today, it's hard to get past the second one. There's usually somebody covering. Here comes Nicol. Beardsley. Off the back heel, full Spackman, not Wimbledon. 98,000 people inside the stadium and millions watching all over the world, wondering if Wimbledon have set Liverpool a puzzle here that even the league champions in this all-conquering season up to now may find difficult to solve. Beardsley. They certainly haven't solved it in the first 55 minutes. Liverpool, with a cabinet packed with trophies, find themselves one behind to a team who 11 years ago today, when Liverpool were playing at Wembley, had just won the Southern League Championship. And a break by Houghton, and another good save by Beasant. Just though we shall see a Wimbledon substitute first. Laurie Cunningham is getting ready. Beardsley to Houghton. Free kick. Beardsley fouled. Alan Cork is the man going off. As he often has been substituted in the course of the season, he goes off, and Laurie Cunningham, 32 now, had a varied career, including a European Cup final for Real Madrid against Liverpool. He's on. Barnes. First touch for Cunningham to Phelan. Well, Cunningham is a wide player, so there's no need to readjust the team any further. McMahon away from Jones. But Sanchez gets the tackle in. Again, Liverpool denied the space that they need. Nicol. Look where Kenny Dalglish was. If you can't play, perhaps you can do the next best thing and get the ball back quickly in their predicament.
I think he went for the ball to get near enough to shout at him, John. I think that was the tactic there. But it's interesting, they're playing the ball around more, but the times they've tried to make the final break with the final pass or dribble, Beardsley's been checked 3 times. They just can't make any kind of penetration at this time.
Here's McMahon. And now Ablett. Well, maybe Barnes is the man to do it. He hasn't so far. Ablett again. McMahon. Spackman. Young. The one thing you can be sure about with Liverpool is they won't panic. They'll keep probing. Barnes again. Too long for Aldridge. Laurie Cunningham with his first turn of speed. And he's still got a bit too. Fashanu challenges Gillespie, and there you are. Wimbledon have won the throw there, purely down to Fashanu's persistence. I don't think every centre-forward would have managed to achieve that in that area of the field, but that says an awful lot about Wimbledon's game. It's only a throw-in, but it's gained them ground and breathing space, and it's denied Liverpool. Flags up. There's an offside there. Little Terry Gibson, who played here as a schoolboy and then missed out on cup final action with 3 of his previous clubs. All sorts of romantic stories in the Wimbledon camp. But whether there will be a fairy tale ending remains to be seen. We've got half an hour still to play. Here's Wise. Fashanu. Back to Jones. Pumped in long. Craig Johnston is definitely going to come on, and it may well be that John Aldridge will get taken off. I suppose there will be 1 or 2 Liverpool players who haven't come up to full potential in this first hour. They trail 1-0 and they're going to make a change. There is Aldridge. Beardsley, well, he might score here. Penalty. Goodyear on Aldridge. Wimbledon protest at the decision. Goodyear thinks he played the ball. And here we have high drama because Aldridge, who I think might have been replaced a moment later, is the penalty taker. And never has a penalty been missed in the FA Cup final at Wembley. Well, that's what it was given for. More of that in a moment. Dave Beasant in the week told me that he's been watching where Aldridge puts his kicks. Aldridge, in fact, was the player fouled himself by Goodyear. Looked a bit harsh to me. Jimmy Hill in a moment on that. Beasant thinks that, or thought the kick might go to his left or the right as we look if Aldridge decides to go the same way as in the semi-final. He did, and he saved it and made history. The first time ever that a penalty kick has not been converted in the FA Cup final here. And Beasant did guess right. His homework paid off, and Wimbledon is still in the lead. And maybe justice was done. We'll have a view on the award itself when the play subsides. We've got to stay with the corner kick. Wimbledon have to keep their concentration amidst all this excitement. And Beasant's dropped it now. That's funny how that happens sometimes. Jimmy Hill.
Well, they were lucky to get the penalty, there's no doubt about that. Fender stretched through and pushed the ball through back to his keeper. Aldridge went down over the top, but not an intentional trip. Not an easy one to give. The referee chose one way, but maybe divine judgment or some other football judgment decided that Wimbledon didn't deserve to lose a goal.
Barnes for Liverpool. Not only the first penalty to be missed here on this occasion, but also the first one Aldridge has ever missed for Liverpool after scoring from 11 in a row. Here's Barnes. But has it just given Liverpool the little incentive they needed? They still haven't got Johnston on, because that incident interrupted what I think would have been an almost immediate substitution. Here's Ablett for them. Barnes. Gary Ablett with the foul. Just a word about Wembley penalties, because I know there are a lot of viewers that like to keep a check on this. There have been 7 in FA Cup finals, all scored, the last 3 actually in replays in the 80s. And as we watch what happened as John Aldridge went through, I have to agree with Jimmy Hill looking at that again. We've got a double substitution taking place. Aldridge does go off now for Liverpool to be replaced by Johnston, and off goes Terry Gibson to be replaced by 21-year-old John Scales, who was signed from Bristol Rovers, Bobby Gould's old club. Well, we'll try and acquaint you with the change in formation in just a moment. Craig Johnston obviously brought on to introduce more firepower into the Liverpool attack. He's the lad who said he's packing up football after this weekend. Well, we'll wait and see about that. He's certainly got an opportunity here to prove his value. Nicol takes the kick. Eric Young heads it out for a corner. Johnston on for Aldridge, and Wimbledon have now used both their substitutes. Hansen being marked by Young. Barnes. Hansen in with Beasant. It was a terrific save, actually, Jimmy, wasn't it? I mean, I know he guessed right, but he really got across, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and all credit to the keeper for doing that. It was on target, it still had to be saved. It was one of those side foot ones which do lack a little power, and if the keeper guesses right, then he's got a good chance of saving it. He not only guessed, he was instructed that he was going to go to that side by his colleagues beforehand. But I think Aldridge had been spoken to a bit fiercely about his part in that penalty. I don't know whether his knees were wobbling on account of a slightly guilty conscience, but he didn't strike it with the venom that he hit the one in the semi-final.
I don't think Dave Beasant actually needed that reminder from the other players, because I do know from talking to him that he had it exactly in his mind what he thought Aldridge would do. And he knew what to do there too, did the goalkeeper. And John Aldridge makes a little bit of Wembley history that he won't particularly look back on with any pride. Here's Beardsley. Little back heel. And Houghton got in there. And Jones. Oh! And Beasant forced to make another save, which was rather unnecessary from Jones' point of view. He didn't put any pace on the pass back. I know you love your quiz questions back home, and Gary Gillespie there just trying to ward off John Fashanu. Desmond Lynham was asking me in the week, well, when was the last penalty on a Saturday in the first match at Wembley in the Cup final? Well, you have to go back to '62 and Danny Blanchflower for that. The save has done, it's kept the Liverpool supporters in a numbed silence for the time being. They must have thought the equaliser was coming there, even though the award seemed harsh. Halfway through the second half. And Scales getting a header in. Hansen for Liverpool. Ablett. Wimbledon still working overtime at tracking the runs of the Liverpool forward players. Vinnie Jones is following Steve McMahon everywhere. Stifled an awful lot of the creativity from the Liverpool midfield, that tactic. That was Sanchez, then Jones, now Gillespie, now McMahon. Barnes. McMahon again, on to Ablett. And Houghton's in a very good position, tried to feed it back to Barnes. Ablett again. In by Ablett, Barnes. Couldn't find Houghton, Wimbledon closed the channel again. McMahon. Liverpool looking for new avenues. Johnston. And again the tackle. Firm and effective. The ball out is to Fashanu.
Well, Wimbledon are keeping young Scales up as alongside Fashanu as a striker. Although he's a right back, so they're playing just the same orthodox formation.
Well, the pattern of the game may change, Jimmy, and so may the score, but up to now, I suppose you would give some credit to Don Howe and Bobby Gould for the way they've planned their tactics here.
They really have been first class. I mean, Liverpool are in trouble. They've tried a few things. Extraordinary when they're desperately in need of a goal for the double and all sorts of other reasons to maintain their reputation as being one of the great teams of all time, and they've taken off their leading goal scorer when they need a goal. I'm not criticising that judgment because he was a little ineffective, but it didn't seem to me that John Aldridge alone was the problem with Liverpool today. There isn't enough running power. I don't think they've shown enough enthusiasm in the tackles up front. When there's been 50-50 balls, especially at this stage of the game, you can see them ready to lose them instead of hanging on tenaciously and trying to make that breakthrough. You don't win cup finals in faint-hearted fashion, however brilliant you are.
Well, we're into the last 20 minutes, and that's a period of the game when Liverpool have scored many, many times down the years, so let's take nothing for granted here. Aldridge, as you say, the top scorer with 29 this season, but he won't be scoring this afternoon now. And indeed, it's Wimbledon who have the free kick, and Little Wise rolls it into Vincent Jones. That's what Bobby Gould calls him, Vinnie to his friends. Here's Barnes. Johnston through the middle, still Barnes, good run, but not a good cross by John Barnes standards. Well, Dave Beasant has made history twice over today. He's the first goalkeeper to save a penalty in the FA Cup final in this stadium, and he's also the first goalkeeper to captain his team here on this occasion. Meantime, Jan Mølby, who had such an effect on the second half against Everton here 2 years ago, is waiting to come on, and it rather looked as though Nigel Spackman's number was in the hand of the reserve official there. Jones. So the second Liverpool substitution, off goes Nigel Spackman, on comes Jan Mølby, the Danish international who hasn't played a full 90 minutes this season in the first team. He's only been used as a substitute. But one spectator who will be staying for the full 90 minutes here, no doubt, is the royal guest who's going to be presenting the FA Cup. Will she be presenting it to Dave Beasant, I wonder? Or will Liverpool, in their time-honoured, meticulous fashion, find a way back into the match? They've never, ever given up a game as a lost cause since the days of Bill Shankly, and I wouldn't expect them to start now. Although I've rarely heard the Liverpool fans so subdued. And that must say something for the way Wimbledon have curtailed what their team have tried to do in attack. Not that the Wimbledon faithful are making too much noise, they probably can't believe it. There's McMahon. I understand that Celtic have equalised at Hampden Park in the Scottish FA Cup final against Dundee United, and a name to ring a bell with all West Ham supporters. Frank McAvenny is the scorer for Billy McNeil's team. Wise for Wimbledon. Scales is in the middle. So was Fashanu. Close.
Well, I wouldn't like to put any money on Liverpool at this stage of the game. Wimbledon are making it as difficult as possible for them. They're having very few attacks. That was one of the rare ones. But the only time they seem to get in real danger is if they press home an attack, and then Liverpool break. But as it is, they're defending that 70-odd yards of the field very well. Barnes on the ball.
Barnes cross, Johnston coming in. Handball, was it, by Houghton, spotted by linesman George Tyson on the far side. Who is a Football League referee.
I was saying Wimbledon are keeping their shape, they're keeping their discipline, they're keeping their numbers back, and not really attempting too much up front, and depending on frustrating Liverpool for the last, 15 minutes of this game.
Yes, and they've got the extra running power of 2 substitutes, as indeed, of course, have Liverpool now, but possibly Gibson, who's had an injury, was taken off because he was slowing down, and with 15 minutes to go, it's 1-0 still to Wimbledon. Well, you've read it right so far, Jimmy. How do you read the last quarter of an hour?
Well, I honestly believe there's an overriding law in football that you battle for the right to play the good football, and then once you've asserted yourself and demonstrated your courage and your running power, you then take over. And Liverpool have never been able to take that command today. Not really at any stage of the game have they outrun, out-tackled, out-jumped Wimbledon, and they are some of the basics of the game, just as beautiful passing.
Here's Mølby. Just a reminder that the double is at stake here. Houghton. Liverpool won't need reminding. Beardsley. McMahon. And Goodyear needs to do something here. There was a moment of hesitation between him and Beasant. Liverpool have a corner. Their supporters turn up the volume. Gillespie has moved forward. Ablett plays it back to Mølby. Johnston's in there with the acrobatics. Fashanu's back helping out. Wimbledon here are less than 15 minutes away from glory. Mølby. Johnston. Fashanu again gets a tackle in. Johnston beats 2 of them. Corner again. Perseverance there by the Liverpool substitute. Houghton to take this one. Beasant decides to punch and collects the second time. Everything seems to have gone his way, but goodness me, he's worked for it. He won't forget this day, whatever happens in the next few minutes.
In the absence of British Telecom's help with the phone line so that the audience can choose the man of the match, I think the man of the match is choosing himself so far, John.
Yes, well, goalkeepers have distinguished themselves here in cup finals before, and Dave Beasant following in that tradition. very popular figure down at Plough Lane, a good leader. Also a fully qualified FA coach, which just slightly belies what some people think about Wimbledon.
And about goalkeepers.
Indeed. Here's Mølby. I think we've got one on the staff as well, to be fair, Jimmy. Here's Ablett. And now Barnes. Beardsley. Houghton's made the run inside. It's still Beardsley, and it's still dangerous, but Scales got back in front of Mølby. Wimbledon have got everybody back behind the ball. Hansen has the chance to come forward for Liverpool. Mølby. Beardsley. Oh, just look at that. Fashanu wins so many tackles. I can't believe it for a centre forward. He seems to spend an awful lot of time back there, digging in his own half. Here's McMahon. He's hurt now, and they haven't got any more substitutes.
Interesting to see Peter Beardsley's game in some perspective, because early on he was the one that tried to take on Wimbledon. Here he is now on it, this stage of the game.
Ablett. Barnes!
But then at the beginning of this half he tried 2 or 3 attempts to go past people using his energy, and I mentioned before the game the kind of player he was. He's not in a game all the time. He floats in and floats out, takes a game by the scruff of the neck with a brilliant skill, creates a goal or scores one. But he hasn't got that 90-minute stamina, I don't think, and he has to time his surges. We have one just after half-time, and he's got to hurry up the next one if he's going to find a way of breaking down this Wimbledon defence, because I can't see anybody else doing it.
Well, Andy Thorn had a solid game at the back. Laurie Cunningham, Sanchez. Lawrie Sanchez with 3 others up. Fashanu. Cunningham. Gillespie heads out. Sanchez won it back, found his midfield partner Jones. This is Wise. Fashanu wants it played in, still Wise. Ablett's the defender. And Wimbledon force a corner. It's beginning to look as though it might be their day. Entering the last 10 minutes, they still lead. Young is forward for the corner, so they're looking for a second goal. And there is Young. Good save by Grobbelaar. Eric Young scored at Anfield in the league game a few weeks ago. And Grobbelaar had to be swift to his right there. Here's Barnes. Gillespie, that's a foul by Scales, tackling back. Beardsley. Wide to Johnston. Never discount Liverpool, especially in the last few minutes of any match. Although, as Jimmy's rightly said, they haven't produced this afternoon or been allowed to the kind of football which has lit up the First Division this season.
I mean, that last incident was indicative of it. I mean, Johnston just running in and crashing the ball into a defender, you know, without trying to move one way or the other to get his crossing. A slight desperation, but also lack of initiative.
Fashanu gets back yet again to worry the life out of Hansen. It's hustle-bustle, but it works. Bobby Gould, I can just see Bobby Gould there, Jimmy. He's so excited. He's come off the bench to try and get some instructions out. And Ronnie Moran the same. They've broken the sort of little police cordon there for a moment. Here's Cunningham. Oh, cheeky back heel. They're turning on the style a bit now. Fashanu. Shouldn't take liberties, though, with Liverpool. Mølby, foul. That was a late tackle. by Sanchez. Here's Barnes. Hansen, 7 minutes. Mølby was the furthest player forward for Liverpool then, hooked on by Wise for Wimbledon. Hansen back to Ablett. Could be in for a tense finish here. Johnston for Liverpool. Barnes looks again for Johnston. Houghton coming in from the far side, but the ball running kindly again for Beasant. Well, he's back there now, but goodness knows what's going on under that fairly plain exterior. Bobby Gould and his team just a few minutes away from dreamland. We love you Wombles, the chant now from the terraces. Alone booms out in response. Mølby for Liverpool. Fashanu gets back again. Still Mølby. Away by Young. And now Vinnie Jones for Wimbledon. To Phelan. He's got Laurie Cunningham sprinting up behind him, who's checked a bit now. There he is. It was Beardsley having to tackle back for Liverpool. Not really where they'd want him, ideally, I suppose, at this stage of the proceedings. Mølby. Barnes. Good tackle. Again, he took the ball, and again, it was Fashanu. Cunningham. Oh, they get that away very carelessly. That's what you can't afford to do. Well, 5 minutes away from one of the most improbable FA Cup wins of recent years. Bobby Gould knows how close they are. What a triumph this would be for him. What have Liverpool got left? Wimbledon are playing at the moment with rather more panache, but Phelan just got a bit over-ambitious. And they do well to keep their shape here, because if they don't, there's still time for Liverpool to punish them and force extra time. Foul. Scales on Hansen. It's going to be a long 4 minutes for Bobby Gould and Don Howe. And he's not enjoying it one bit. Phelan. Well, the Wimbledon supporters are starting to believe that they're going to win the cup.
I hope they'll be starting to appear, John, so that we can see them emerge from this. Oh, there's a Wimbledon player, but I can see some of them up the left hand end. They'll emerge all right if Wimbledon hold out these last few minutes. But Liverpool still looking ineffective.
Good challenge by Phelan. Again, he took the ball cleanly. Often the art of tackling is underrated, I feel, in the English game, and it's been fair tackling from Wimbledon today. Let that be said too. 3 minutes. Well, are we on the verge here of something that you could never have predicted just a few short years ago? Jones has found Fashanu. Scales must be careful not to go offside. Fashanu knew that and played the ball to Wise. Forward by Goodyear, who will be relieved about the penalty miss, since he was alleged to have fouled his man. Jones and McMahon. Free kick to Liverpool, but it's all gone on rather quickly. This is Houghton. Came off the heels of Andy Thorn. Danger here. Barnes, not a good cross from him. Could have been better because he had players to aim at. Throw in, says the referee. Well, Wimbledon's nerves and those of their supporters will be jangling a bit here. It's young Mølby with Johnston calling. Oh, and so close from Steve Nicol.
The Liverpool defensive players have done extremely well. Gillespie's been brilliant, injury or not, at the back there. And that was Nicol coming up to try and put some inspiration up front. But it hasn't been that solid defence that's let them down, really. It's been their so talented front players who've not sparkled at all. And you probably this season will be written off now for Liverpool as the team that played just one game too many. Last week, at their peak and brilliant. In the May sunshine, the energy and industry and determination of Wimbledon has destroyed them.
We're into the last minute and there won't be too much injury time. Gillespie to Beardsley. This could be Liverpool's last chance. Barnes. Houghton's run inside. Wise to clear. Flags up for offside against Fashanu. No, the Wimbledon fans think it's over. One or two players embrace. It's premature. It's a free kick. Dear me, this must be agonising for Wimbledon. Barnes has put the ball back in the middle. Oh, the tension here. He's checked with both linesmen. Oh, and there it is. The crazy gang have beaten the Culture Club. Wimbledon have destroyed Liverpool's dreams of the double, and all over the pitch, their players are celebrating something which a few years ago would have been impossible. Sporting gesture by the Liverpool supporters. Her Royal Highness applauds one of the great cup shocks of all time. They are a respectable First Division club, but when you think where they came from and where one or two of the players were signed from, you know what a great job that management team have done. Bobby Gould and Don Howe, they've earned their moment of glory. Real football people who've been around. And Wimbledon, the team who 11 years ago were not even in the Football League, who 5 years ago were in the 4th Division, are going to be first up the new Wembley steps. Sam Hammam, the man who bought the club on a whim, when his chauffeur said, why don't you read something about football in my newspaper? Well, did he ever think it was going to finish up here? Only 10 years later. And a sporting moment too between the goalkeepers, and Vinnie Jones will not hang back on the celebrations. Alan Cork, testimonial on Monday, the longest serving player. What a night he's going to have now. He won't mind being taken off today. Don Howe and Bobby Gould got those substitutions right. They were somewhat unexpected, but they knew what they were doing, and they've known what they've been doing all season. This is no fluke. If you've seen Wimbledon play, as often as some of us have over the last 2 years, you knew they were capable of it. You just weren't sure whether they could produce it on this sort of occasion. And Nigel Bird there of the FA doing Ted Croker's job. He's approaching retirement too, getting the cup ready. Well, amazing scenes. Wembley has seen some in its time. We think back on Southampton and Sunderland. And Bobby Gould, as Luton did with Ray Harford a few weeks ago, strikes a blow for the clubs of more modest resources. And the 7,000 who go regularly to Plough Lane will savour this moment, along with the players who they've got to know so well. And the first man up the steps, the first goalkeeper ever to lead a side up to receive the FA Cup, our man of the match in the commentary box, that's for sure, Dave Beasant. His penalty save, so important. The first one ever in an FA Cup final here. And now he leads his team up Many's the time he's driven past Wembley on his way to work day best. He lives just down the road, but today he must feel like a king, going up to receive the treasured prize from a princess. It's a weird and wonderful world if you come from Wimbledon. They've won the FA Cup. And on the day, who can deny them their right? They stopped Liverpool playing. And their energy and their enthusiasm and their enterprise did enough to keep them in front once they got there. Well, these names that didn't trip off the tongue until a couple of years ago, maybe they don't now. Whereas Liverpool, the distinguished masters of the English game, go up as losers. Who would have expected this? Champions they are, nobody will deny them that. But double winners this time, they're not. 4-1 on favourites, but defeated by a team who were playing Southern League football 11 years ago. On the day, they just couldn't produce what they've been serving up on grounds up and down the country all season. And the sadness on the faces tells its own story. I understand there's also been a definite result in the Scottish